Hello and welcome back to Forge Yourself Forward. I'm your host, Mike. Yesterday, I had posted a video where I spoke about how we're almost always told in stressful situations or really difficult situations that maybe you should take the edge off, or you should relax a little, or do things to kind of numb that feeling. And it's a question that I pose because I think no matter what, no matter where you are in life, no matter who you are in life, you're going to have stressful situations. You're going to have setbacks, and you're going to have situations in which you are put to the test, so to speak. I know in my own life, I've been put to the test many, many, many times. And the way that you deal with that or you cope with those stresses, I think, is a very important thing for your own mental health and your own thing as a human being if you want to try to move forward or enhance yourself in any way. Because if the habits that you're using on a daily basis or weekly basis or in any of those stressful situations are not serving you or even could be pulling you back or causing you to have greater difficulty, then maybe they need to change. For me, one of the things that I found was if I had a really hard week and on a Friday night or a Saturday night, I would pour myself a drink or two. Yes, I enjoyed that. I'm not saying I didn't, and I'm not advocating against drinking or anything like that. Obviously, if you're responsible and you don't put anybody in jeopardy and you don't have a problem, that's a different story. That's up to you. But I can tell you from my own experience, what I found was, yeah, that would take the edge off for the moment. But I would also tend to eat pretty bad food. Maybe I'd have extra ice cream. Maybe I would order a pizza. Maybe I would indulge in eating cookies or something that I knew ultimately wasn't great for me. To compound on that, I also then would have a fairly shitty night of sleep, which would then lead to me being tired the next day, not wanting to work out, not wanting to take care of myself, and ultimately it would be a couple days before I really would get back into a rhythm. So every time I'd start to move forward, stressful situation, start to move back a little bit. And I don't want anyone to also go through that, especially if there's a better way. So I want to talk about some of the better ways that I've found of dealing with stressful situations. Because everybody's going to have them. No matter what, you're going to have stressful situations from now, probably until you die. It's just part of the human experience. So the first one is journaling. Now, I've talked about journaling before, but one of the things that I do want to talk about is, one, the journal is just for you. It's not for anyone else, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever works for you. It could be something that you only turn to when a stressful situation occurs. You go by yourself, you sit down for 10 minutes, and you think about what is it that's bothering you? What is it that ultimately is the issue? And that really gets to the core, because when you take pen to paper and you really just sit with yourself and your thoughts and you write it out, you'd be surprised how quickly you actually can get to the real issue at hand. And I often find that just knowing the issue itself is almost half the battle. So if you know the issue is either the way that you did something, your take on something, another individual, or your thoughts on a situation, being aware of that is half the battle right there. The second thing that I found that really helped my stress, and I cannot state this enough, is exercise. And I'm not just talking about exercise doing, light cardio. I mean doing some fairly intense exercise at least 3 days a week. I know a lot of people don't like to do that. I know a lot of people don't want to do intense exercises. But I can tell you one thing from my own experience. Hard exercise, and once you accomplish it, the natural high that you get from the endorphins will last you all day and sometimes into the next day. Not to mention you've accomplished something. You were able to go further than maybe you thought that you could initially or even had ever done before. And that's the kind of proof that you say to yourself and you prove to yourself that builds your self-esteem over time. I really don't think that it can be recreated in any other way because it's action. That's what it comes down to. It's the actual action of doing something, of improving yourself, of fighting through that adversity. And it's when you do that, you notice that all the other problems sometimes shrink in comparison to the difficult thing that you just dealt with. I know, for instance, this morning, I was not feeling great. I was tired, so I actually did a rather intense workout for about a half hour. That's really all you need is about a half hour. I can tell you, after I did that workout, not only do I feel better, I feel more productive, and it got me thinking that I really wanted to record this video to help other people that are in that situation, that are just not feeling great, and it's not, doing it for them. They need help, because I was there once myself, and I understand. The third thing is sometimes as simple as going on a walk. Now, the intense exercise is one aspect of it, but going on a walk sometimes for 20 minutes by yourself, either listening to music, just observing nature, things like that, can have a tremendous impact on your quality of life. Not only does it deal with the stress of the moment, but sometimes I find that when I'm walking, my thought process gets sharper, gets better. I'm able to solve issues that I didn't necessarily know that I had before in a better way. Sometimes ideas come to me that I didn't even think were possible or I had no idea of beforehand. It's amazing what your subconscious will tell you on those walks where you're just moving. It's really incredible. If you haven't done it, I'm telling you, do it for a week. Go out, walk 30 minutes a day for 7 days. I'm telling you, you will have a different perspective. It's something that seems so silly, but it's real. The fourth one is try something different. And this is kind of an odd thing, but I think it really reigns true. If you are in a stressful situation and you always know I'm in a stressful situation, for instance, mine was I would go to Taco Bell and I'd get tacos. Yeah, I love Taco Bell. It's delicious. I'm not saying it's not. But if that's the way I'm coping with it, I'm just reinforcing that's the way I cope with things. It's probably not the best thing for me over time because we all know the calories will add up. If I'm not exercising, I'm not eating healthy mostly, it's having other effects that just aren't something that I want. So what you do maybe is you change it up. Instead of getting in your car or walking down the block to wherever you would go or going into your cabinet to get something, change your situation, change your environment. Maybe go out in the backyard. Maybe take a car drive to the beach. Maybe take a car drive to the lake. Maybe take a car drive to the woods. Whatever it is, change up the situation. Because once you change up the situation, you're not going to fall into the old habit because you don't have a habit. So you can build something better. It gives you that opportunity to start something new, start something fresh. And I think that when you start to do that, you can be like, wow, this was a better way to handle it. I don't feel as overwhelmed. I don't feel as anxious about the situation. I can do something better. That's something you might want to consider. So change the situation. The fifth one is to realize that any change, any improvement is going to take time. We don't do things overnight, whether it's losing weight, trying to handle your anger better, trying to improve your professional situation, trying to become more educated. It all takes time. It's all work, and it has to compound on itself time over time over time over time. It's essentially compound interest. And giving yourself a little slack to know that the process is going to take a while. Understand that. For me, I started on this journey, I would say about 3 years ago, right around when COVID kind of hit. And it has been sometimes a daily, sometimes a weekly process. I go backwards, I go forwards. Sometimes I go really back, sometimes I go really forward. But the point is that I'm always trying to keep my trajectory in one pathway, trying to move forward in some way, whether it's very small or very large. And it's important. And just give yourself a little grace in knowing that it's always going to be ugly in the middle. It's always going to be. So just accept that and realize that as long as you're moving in a path forward in a positive way, you're doing a good job. And be proud of yourself for that. And I have a bonus one for you. That's talk to people. I'm not necessarily saying you have to go to therapy. If you do, that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. I've done it before. It's fine. But if you have a close group of friends and you have a problem that you just can't come to a solution for, sometimes confiding in friends that you really trust, that you know you can trust, can give you a different perspective. We may have to walk ourselves on this path, but we don't always walk it alone. And it's something to be aware of. Anybody else that's also on the path with you, I'm sure they're going to be receptive because at some point they might need help and they might want your perspective. So it's something to consider. Now, I would love to hear from you. Is there any sort of process that you do or you try whenever a stressful situation comes up that I didn't list, or something that you found to be very helpful? I would love to hear from other people. I would also really appreciate if you listen to this video, please throw a like up there. It means a lot to me. I'm just trying to put out positive content for people in this crazy world where, I think we're all really stressed out. But if we can be positive and put positive messages out there, I think it can help a lot of people. And that's my goal. And subscribe. I post almost daily my walks, thoughts, and just little tips. I hope you have a great day. And remember, forge yourself forward.